In tonight's headlines, civil servants are upset with the 3% pay rise. A record-breaking 84% of students are allocated to one of their top 3 primary school choices. And Narendra Modi secured his 3rd consecutive term as India's Prime Minister, but his party lost its outright majority in parliament seats. The government's latest decision to offer a uniform rate of 3% pay rise for civil servants of all ranks has poured cold water on government workers. This is because they were expecting a wage increment of up to 5.47% based on the pay trend survey. Taking to the airwaves this morning, Civil Service Minister Ingrid Yeung noted that workers have shouldered extra responsibilities in the past year. Apart from carrying out their usual duties, they have also helped with a lot of newly rolled out measures focusing on post-COVID recovery, she said. Yeung pointed out that the change in cost of living, the rise in consumer prices, as well as economic growth were favorable factors to the pay rise. But the secretary said the current situation does not allow the hike to match with the survey, as the authorities have to continue tightening its purse strings for an expected deficit. It would be unwise to offer a salary hike that threatens or even exceeds the government's affordability, according to Yeung. She stressed that the pay rise is not bad, as it allows civil servants to share the fruits of economic expansion, maintain their purchasing power, and offers a recognition of their hard work. With a job vacancy of around 20,000 across government departments, the official believes the flat rate increment would not affect recruitment. Talking to the press after meeting the civil service chief, Choi Kun-long, Secretary General of the Chinese Civil Servants Association, revealed that its members were disappointed with the decision, particularly the junior ranking staff. This is because, according to the pay survey results, they could receive a 5.47% salary rise, the highest among all levels. Even though the hike is in line with inflation, it does limited help to its raising their quality of living, Choi added. Janice Low, Cable News. Around 19,200 people participated in the Primary 1 central allocation this year, and a record high of 84% of the children were allocated to their top 3 most preferred schools. But as parents wish to pave the way for their offspring's bright future, those who were not assigned to their top preference decided to try their luck at a subsidized school in Yau Ma Tei. This school was our first choice, this mother revealed. Even though her child has secured a spot at a private school, she still insists to knock on the school's door. This is because this school is only 5 minutes away from where we live, which could allow my child to have sufficient sleep, she added. This father suspected that his decision to submit a cross-net application has caused his child to be unable to obtain a spot among their top 3 choices. But he is optimistic that his child could secure a spot in this school. The school's vice principal expects around 400 to 500 students to come for door knocking, which is similar to previous years, even during the emigration wave 2 to 3 years ago. But only about 10 of them would eventually manage to secure a spot, she added. Janice Low, Cable News.
Tickets for new high-speed sleeper trains to Shanghai and Beijing went on sale today, and the first service to Beijing has been sold out. Queues for tickets formed at West Kowloon Station, while mainland app 12306 showed no places left for the first train to Beijing, although people could join a wait list. The sleeper trains will depart in the evening and arrive at their destinations the following morning. The journey to Beijing will take approximately 12 hours, while the Shanghai route will be around 11 hours. This is a significant reduction compared to the previous intercity through train service, which took over 24 hours, to Beijing and nearly 20 hours to Shanghai. For the Beijing route, upper berth tickets start from $1,031 per trip, while the Shanghai route begins at $878 for an upper berth. Lower berths are approximately $100 more expensive. The Shanghai service also offers premium upper and lower berth options at higher prices. Tickets can be purchased through the 12306 website, mobile app, station ticket offices, and vending machines.
Universities in the city have been performing good in gaining reputation and ranking in this year's Global Universities League Table. British firm Quacquarelli-Symonds announced its World University Rankings of the year. 6 local universities saw their rankings going up, of which 3 are among the best 50 globally. The University of Hong Kong jumped up to the top 20 in the world, ranking 17th, 9 places higher than last year, firmly ranking first in Hong Kong and 4th in Asia. The oldest university in the city has outperformed some of the world's renowned higher institutions this year, including Beijing's Tsinghua University, which ranked 20th, and Yale University in the United States, which ranked 23rd. Ranked second in Hong Kong, the Chinese University of Hong Kong reached 36th place in the world rankings, up 11 places from last year, marking its best performance since 2020. The one with the largest increase in ranking this year is the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, up 13 places to rank 47th in the world. Meanwhile, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in U.S., better known as MIT, secured its top spot in the world's league table for 13 years in a row. And the highest-ranking Asian university is still the National University of Singapore, which maintained its 8th place within the world's top 10. Kina Fan, Cable News.
Narendra Modi has secured a historic 3rd consecutive term as India's Prime Minister, but his Bharatiya Janata Party fell short of retaining its outright parliamentary majority for the first time in 10 years. The BJP-led National Democratic Alliance won 294 seats in the 543-member lower house of parliament, more than 20 ahead of the 272 needed to form a government. While remaining as the single largest party, BJP's tally of 240 seats marks a significant decline from the 303 seats it won 5 years ago. The reduced majority means that the party requires the support of its NDA allies to return to power in a coalition. Despite the setback, Modi celebrated the NDA's victory Tuesday, hailing it as the victory of the world's largest democracy. Addressing supporters at the BJP headquarters in New Delhi, he expressed gratitude to voters for their support and reaffirmed his commitment to making India a developed nation within the next 2 decades. Modi's campaign focused on his government's economic achievements during the past decade, which were mainly focused on major cities as well as the welfare schemes and India's global standing. However, critics have pointed to high unemployment, particularly among youth, inflation, and concerns over rising inequality, and divisive politics targeting religious minorities. The Indian general election, which concluded on May 23rd, after a 6-week-long process, saw over 640 million people active to vote, making it the largest democratic exercise in history. Quentin Yang, Cable News. Tensions between China and the Philippines have escalated in the disputed South China Sea region over several recent incidents involving Filipino forces, Chinese fishermen, and Coast Guard vessels. According to Chinese authorities, personnel from the illegally grounded Philippine Navy transport ship Sierra Madre at Renaijiao, or what the Philippines call the Second Thomas Strait, have repeatedly damaged and stolen Chinese fishing nets in the surrounding waters since May 15th. China claims that over 2,000 meters of fishing nets have been destroyed and more than 100 meters stolen by Philippine personnel. Videos provided by Xinhua agency show scattered and damaged nets, as well as Philippine Navy personnel handling the stolen nets on the Sierra Madre. China has accused the Philippines of conducting illegal actions that violate China's sovereignty in the area and has carried out inspections near the grounded ship in response. Meanwhile, the Philippine military has alleged that Chinese Coast Guard vessels pursued and collided with Philippine boats carrying supplies airdropped for the personnel stationed on Sierra Madre. Videos provided by the Philippine military show that two boats believed to belong to Chinese Coast Guard chased after and finally collided with the Filipino supply boats. The incidents are the latest flare-up in the long-running territorial disputes in the South China Sea. China claims almost the entire South China Sea based on its 9-dash line, which is strongly contested by the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
A gauge measuring the city's business condition dips back to the negative territory after expanding for 2 months. The S&P Global Hong Kong PMI fell to 49.2 in May, down 1.4 from April, returning to contraction after 2 consecutive periods of expansion. This also marks the second monthly drop in the index. A reading below 50 denotes contraction in business activity, while a reading above 50 indicates expansion. The strength was underpinned by a reduction in new orders, which recorded its steepest decline since September 2022. Also, new export orders deteriorated with sales from China and abroad falling solidly. Finally, overall sentiment in the city's private sector remained pessimistic in May, with firms in the wholesale and retail sector being the most downbeat. Heightened competition, rising prices, and softening economic conditions clouded the outlook for future activity, according to those surveyed.
A private survey showed that smaller firms in the mainland services sector expanded at its fastest pace since July last year, pointing to resilience that may alleviate concerns over the economy's outlook after weak official figures. The Caixin China Services Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, rose to 54 in May. That's the highest in 10 months and beat the market's median forecast of 52.5. Any reading above 50 suggests an expansion. The private gauge of services activity has indicated an expansion for 17 straight months, with total new orders increasing at the quickest pace in a year on recovering demand. The Caixin survey focuses on the smaller firms compared to the official services PMI released last week, showing only moderate growth in the services sector in May.